Small Talk is the show where we express ourselves with small randomness. We fill every show with something different. There is no topic too big or too small for us to cover. Our show doesn't have a real path that we follow, and that's what makes it fun to watch. So let's get to the show. Hey guys, welcome to Small Talk. It is Monday, which means we are live on air. We have this wonderful Dina Martucci.
Yes.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, Martucci, doesn't matter.
I always mentally, I'm like saying it wrong because it's Greek, right?
No, the first name is Greek, the last name is Italian, believe it or not.
You would think, I being half Italian, you'd think I'd be able to pronounce such a name, but no, can't. Cubanness takes over a little bit, but anyway, Dina's back from school. She goes to school in New Hampshire, which we're going to touch base a little on that today because it is, from what I'm told, a different world than we are down here.
Oh, completely different.
Different world. So that has to be interesting. We're going to talk a little bit about Christmas because it is Christmas. This is my favorite time of the year. It's also the most stressful time of the year working in retail. I was thinking to myself yesterday, I was like, I haven't really enjoyed buying presents, wrapping presents, and just doing all the fun holiday stuff in a couple years. And I always find a little way to enjoy it because it is my favorite time of the year. It's family. It's the joy, the food, the joy of giving, all the food.
Yeah.
While traditions are a little different this year, I do want to touch, what are your holiday traditions? Because I know mine are very different.
So
I'm curious about if yours changed at all.
I mean, I feel like holiday traditions change constantly, especially as we get older.
Yes.
As kids, it was like the highlight of our life. Christmas time
Oh my God, yes.
was just above all, be all amazing. But as we get older, things change. We realize different things about Christmas. And now that I'm in Florida, this is my second Christmas in Florida, and the tradition changed again. No snow, winter Christmas.
I was going to say, you grew up in snow, didn't you?
Yes, every Christmas I've had snow.
For those Floridians that don't know what snow is, because I saw snow for my first time I was 23. January was the first time.
You were 23?
23. This past January. Almost a year ago.
The first time you saw snow?
First time I saw snow.
That's crazy.
So, for those of you, Floridians that don't know what snow is, it's basically frozen rain. And it is beautiful, it is pretty, it's white. Magical thing. Mm-hmm. But if you grew up in it, it's probably not so magical.
It's not. Like, to get your car out of it, it's
my God.
Impossible.
When we went, because my mom went to school in Buffalo, and in January they had a little college reunion at a camp that she was involved in. So me, her, and my brother went up, actually right before all this pandemic stuff started. It was like the end of January, beginning of February, so it's quite interesting. But we went up there for a weekend, and basically we parked the car. She let me drive, so I got to drive in snow and on snowy roads. Thankfully, they weren't too snowy because I've never done that before.
Yeah.
But basically, we parked the car on Friday and didn't get back in it until Monday. So it did snow in the 3 days we were there, so you had to go with the whole brush, wipe it down, and then start
dig it
the car,
out.
Thankfully, we didn't have to dig it out a whole lot, but yes, dig it out. Like, we got little baby introduction to what a normal life in snow is, and I was like, I can't do this every day.
Yeah.
No,
it's in Connecticut, like, growing up around the holidays, it wasn't bad, but the second I went to college in New Hampshire, and I had to bury out my car in literally 5 feet of snow, like, it would
God.
like, it would, not 5 feet, but
yeah,
it would go up to my knees, and I'm, like, sitting there in my knees, like, opening my car door, trying not to let it get in. It's crazy. It really is.
So, you grew up in Connecticut, you went to school in New Hampshire.
Yes.
Right? Is the snow different in Connecticut versus New Hampshire?
Yes. Way more snow in New Hampshire, at least in my personal experiences. The past almost 4 years of living in New Hampshire, there's always been a crazy amount of snow. And my campus is very high up. It's like almost on a mountain.
I was going to say, is that because New Hampshire is further north than Connecticut? Like, Connecticut's under New York, right?
Right.
And New Hampshire's like next to it, like somewhere up there by
So
Maine.
it's Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont.
Okay, so obviously you can tell geographically I'm not correct.
No, it's okay. But New York is more north than Connecticut.
Okay. Yes.
But yeah, so the snow is crazy. Being on a mountain or like very close to a mountain, like high altitude, it makes the snow come even more. It's more winds. It's
Sounds
like
fun.
We have hail. It's not fun. It's not fun.
I actually thought that sounded fun, but I'm sure living in it what is it, 8 months out of the year, it's probably not
Yeah.
a whole lot of fun.
It's not. But obviously around the holidays, like everyone wants a snowy Christmas. So that's when it becomes like a beautiful moment.
So, like, I know for myself, my family, typical family tradition, typical Christmas in my house is Christmas Eve, you go to grandma's. All the aunts, cousins, everyone gathers together at grandma's house. And then Christmas Day, it's just my little house.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not happening this year because with families growing, meaning my cousins, there's kids and wives, and there's about 25 of us if we would all get together. That can't happen right now. So, half of us are going to be there Christmas Eve, like my cousin's half, because my aunt's birthday is Christmas Eve, so it's only fair that she goes to grandma's on that day. Christmas Day, we're going to go. The same 10 of us that were there for Thanksgiving are going to be there at night Christmas Day. We'll exchange presents then.
Okay.
And the funny thing is we decided to do not so Secret Santa because typically me and my cousins do Secret Santa because there was always like an even number of us. But now that we're all older and there's more of us because, like I said, they have wives, they decided to do a not so Secret Santa. So it's my cousins and my aunts and uncles, like we're all in the pool. So the idea is we bring our presents to grandma's before Christmas Eve. They leave theirs there, and we're going to Zoom on Christmas Eve and
Who's
day.
opening all of them?
Well, I have my aunt, and hopefully you don't watch this till after. I have my aunt and one of the wives, my cousin's wives. So, because there's so many of us, we did two. So you doubled up.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, I'm going to bring their presents, sometime this week before Christmas Eve, and we're going to Zoom, and they're going to open their presents on Christmas Eve. And
That's smart.
If whoever they have, in my house, they're going to leave there, and we'll open them Christmas Day on Zoom. They'll watch us. So it's a little complicated, but it's got to be what it is. It is what it is.
And it's a good way to, work around, what you have to do. You still get to see the reactions of, the gifts that you got for people and what they think of them. So it's really just that's what matters.
And so we have this tent outside because obviously she has a small house. So even 10 of us being in the house is a lot. So I was over there I was at my grandma's on Saturday, and I said, I think I'm going to try to find a little outdoor tree because, there's no Christmas tree outside. Where are the presents going to go? She goes, that's a good idea. I'm glad you brought that up. So I found a little $20 tree at Walmart, and I'm going to go over there sometime this week, put it up, so that way when the presents get there, they're under the tree.
Yeah, they're under the tree. Are you going to, put lights on it and everything?
It's a pre-lit tree. It's an artificial tree, which I refuse to do because I'm all about real tree. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
So there's this little 6 foot, it's in a super tiny box, but it says 6 foot.
Yeah,
so
no, they are. And that just shows one difference we have as traditions. I always have a fake tree.
Oh, really?
I've never had a real tree. So traditions, they're so different for all families. We've never went out and got a tree.
And that's quite funny because you're in Connecticut where you can actually go to one of those farms or parks and literally chop down a tree. That's the dream.
I know. We never did it.
Our tradition is going to Home Depot and picking out a tree.
We will sit around in a circle, trying to put all the parts of the tree together.
That's
what we do.
Hilarious. Well, I mean, you know what? That still sounds as good of a tradition as nothing. Because they're giant puzzles, right?
Yeah.
I assume none of them come with instructions or instructions that you can actually understand.
Yeah, it depends. We've used the same one for 7 years, so the instructions are gone. We just kind of put whatever the biggest parts on the bottom and the smallest on top. We just figure it out.
It's kind of self-explanatory. You can't put the biggest part on top.
Right.
But that sounds so fun.
Yeah.
See, I've never known really a family that has an artificial tree because half the families down here do have artificial trees. That's just the thing. But that actually truly enjoy. Well, I guess they do, but have fun, make a fun out of it, because you got to piece it together, and then you got to stick the lights on, and the ornaments, and the whole nine.
Yeah.
Or does your tree lit up?
No, we still put the string lights around it. It's just literally a plastic tree that you put together and then decorate.
So funny.
It is funny.
That makes me happy though, because you have a little tradition.
Yeah.
And so it's not just you. You have siblings.
I have one sister.
So the 4 of you sit in a little circle, trying to figure out how to piece this thing together. Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah, it's
That's
fun.
great.
And it's just whatever your traditions are. Doesn't even matter.
Make fun out of it, right?
Yeah, literally. I live in Connecticut and New Hampshire and have never had a real tree.
So, do you guys have other family down here? Like, do you make a whole thing out of it, or is it just the 4 of you for Christmas?
My grandma lives down here, so it's going to be the 5 of us.
That's nice. Very nice. And is it normally like that, or is it just COVID Christmas?
Usually, I mean, since I've only been in Florida during COVID, so I haven't really lived in Florida without it being COVID season. So when I was in Connecticut, it was my entire family, like cousins, aunts, uncles, like little nieces and nephews. So
I'm sure you missed that, though.
yeah, it was fun. For Thanksgiving, before I drove down here, I saw my family the day after Thanksgiving. So I got to see them and catch up with them. But
That's
now
great.
it's just going to be the 5 of us, which is kind of what the Christmas protocols are going to be like, I'm guessing.
Oh, yes. There were strong suggestions for Thanksgiving. Not a lot of people
Abided them.
abided that. Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. I think there was a neighborhood somewhere I was driving by, and sometimes I peek I peek through little neighborhoods when I drive by.
Yeah, with
And
all the lights.
There were a lot of cars, so I kind of peeked. But, just driving by. There were a lot of people in the backyard. And I was like, glad that's not my house.
Yeah.
And what's funny is my grandma lives in this 55 and up neighborhood. And so old people are nosy, right? So her next door neighbor had for Thanksgiving, like, I want to say maybe there were 4 of them, and plus the neighbors, there were 5 of them in her backyard. Okay. And I heard from my grandma a couple days later that she said the neighbor's friend said to the neighbor, there are a lot of people there. How many people are there? And the neighbor goes, don't worry. They're okay. Because the neighbor knows there could be 25 of us, but there were not 25 of us. There were 10 of us. And that we're all keeping her safe.
Right.
Nosy neighbors. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
But
people
you know
are gonna
what?
stick their nose in.
We're doing our part. There are other families that are not, and I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be a part of something crazy like that.
Yeah.
That's
fair.
It is what it is. So, tell me about school. How was school?
Yeah, so I just finished my first semester of senior year.
Ooh, exciting.
Got all my grades back, passed all my classes, thank God.
Woo-hoo!
So now I just need to take 5 more classes next semester, and then I'm all graduated.
Well, you're
but
going to be like me, a
yeah,
little sad graduate
I
that's
know.
a little lost.
That doesn't know what to do after you graduate.
I'm in that boat. I'm like, I can try to apply for jobs, real world jobs, but do I want to get shut down 500 times before I feel like I could really, like, get anywhere? Not really.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet.
And like I'm for sure gonna take my time too after I graduate. It's just this whole college experience right now is definitely an experience, but it's a lot different.
Now, is that because of COVID or just in general because it's college?
It's because of COVID.
Okay.
It's 100% because of COVID. There are a million rules that have been put into place, COVID protocols. I live in a townhouse with 6 girls. So
That's a lot.
Yeah. So if you want to like have like a small COVID protocol social gathering, it could only be an extra person per roommate. So there's 6, so there's only 12 allowed in the house.
Now, are people actually abiding by these rules?
So
Because, there could be rules. There could be rule on top of rule, but it doesn't do anything if no one's abiding by them.
Right, 100%. So there were kids, obviously, who didn't abide by the rules, who wanted to party. It was their senior year. They wanted to do whatever they think. We're in the middle of New Hampshire, in the middle of nowhere. Like, the closest thing is a grocery store, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just have a party. And then all those kids got kicked off campus. No refund, no ifs, ands, or buts. No one cared. If you don't follow the rules, you get kicked off campus with no refund. And at first we thought this was like the administration just trying to scare us, like whatever, like let's just like continue on with our lives. So many kids got kicked off of campus last semester because they wouldn't abide the COVID rules.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. So,
but smart.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If they didn't
So
do that, no one would take it seriously.
How long until, like, obviously the semester is, you started in September?
Yeah.
So the semester's 3 months long? let's say?
Actually, I started in August.
Oh, you started in August.
They wanted us to start early and end early, so there wasn't extra travel for Thanksgiving. So like we worked through, and then
So when you left for Thanksgiving, that was it.
that was it.
That's a smart idea.
We did finals online.
So how long did it take for people to start understanding, okay, no, they're serious?
Once we saw all of our friends get kicked off campus, for sure. We're like,
would
oh my
work.
God, Bethany's gone. Did you hear? Like, Bethany's gone. So that's when we're like,
That would do it for me.
yeah. And it was scary. So the rules for like the townhouses, that's the seniors live in, that's 12 people. And then it goes down for every other dorm room. Like if it's 2 people in a dorm, you're only allowed 4 people in there.
Oh.
And if like you come, and you all have to wear masks. Like that's not even a question.
So you have to wear a mask in your own dorm room?
Yes. If there's people in there, like 100%, you have to wear masks everywhere.
Say it's just the 6 of you that
everywhere.
live in there.
If it's just us 6 in the living room, no. If we're like watching TV and it's like 9 o'clock at night, no one's in there, we don't have to wear masks. But technically, okay, so it's crazy the rules they made. So there's the first floor, middle floor, and then the basement. I live in the basement, so if I were to come up into the living room, I would have to be wearing a mask just because I'm in the basement. Isn't that crazy? So basically, no matter what, you have to be wearing a mask.
So if you're not in your own little hole,
You're wearing a mask.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're very serious about it. Very serious. I went to my boyfriend's apartment and on campus. It was another like townhouse. And I was in his bedroom, just like hanging out watching a movie, and I wasn't wearing a mask. And like we got in trouble.
Oh, really?
Like it's not a joke. And like the second I came to Florida, I'm like going to my sister's work and like there's no mask, no nothing. And I'm just like, I feel naked. Like it was so weird to adjust to. Like every time you in the car driving to the grocery store with my roommates, if they see you on campus driving in the car without a mask, you get kicked off. I'm not even kidding, guys. It was
Can the world be
intense.
like this, please?
It was very, very intense. It was,
Wow.
you really had to adjust to it. Like obviously, I think we should wear masks and I like
Right.
want to abide by the rules. But even for someone like me, it was hard to adjust to wear a mask 24/7, literally, unless you're in your room, like literally in my basement in the room. So it's crazy and it's easy to get in trouble. And a lot of kids got kicked off. They could probably put in like an appeal to come back next semester, especially if they're seniors. It depends on how like egregious the defense was on what they did. But yeah.
Do you get
Very
warnings,
different.
or is it the first time they see someone without a mask, you're out?
They said how egregious like the offense is. So like if you're walking around outside without a mask, they could kick you out. If you're at a party, you're 100% kicked out. If like you're, I don't know, it's just like so many different things. Like if you're like holding a water bottle and you like take your mask off while you're walking to class and you go like this, it's probably a warning. You know, it just depends. And also what the campus safety officer thinks of the offense.
Wow. It sounds crazy, but I mean,
It works.
It works, and you were saying how there's only been maybe 3 cases at your campus.
At once. So what my school did, we had about like 38 dorm rooms that they saved for if kids catch COVID. Like let's say like they are all the way like me in Florida. If I catch COVID in New Hampshire, I can't travel all the way to Florida to be home. Or like where the hell am I going to go?
Right.
So they set up a bunch. They saved it so they didn't let as many students come back to school or like reapply to come back. So there was a lot of rooms. There's probably like 38, and they saved that for kids if they got COVID. And only 3 at once, like 3 like at once. Like in total throughout the whole semester, there was probably 10 total, but only 3 at the same time. You know what I mean?
Wow. So obviously the school's protocols worked.
Yeah, they definitely did.
And, you know, maybe if the rest of the world was a little more lenient about things like this, then
I
maybe
think
we'd
it's
be
more
out of this hole.
I think it's
But,
more
you
about the
know,
discipline.
that
Like
too.
how much you want to like discipline yourself. Like for me, like all of us seniors were like, we just want to have a graduation. Like that's all I want to do. That's all I really care about. Like I want a graduation, even if my family can't come, like I want to have a graduation. So
Right.
I think that was our incentive. But for like freshmen who have like never experienced anything like college before, and they're like thrown into this world where all they want to do is have fun and do whatever they want.
It
and
was
then
probably more hard.
It was definitely more hard. So it's a whole situation, and it's hard on everyone, but you gotta do what you gotta do if you want what you want at the end of the day.
Sounds crazy, but you know what? It worked.
Yeah.
we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be back.
Healthy and safe. Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. It's what we have to do. The school took it into their own hands how to handle this. They did it probably the best and smartest way I've ever heard of.
Oh, yeah. They did it very well. We also had randomized COVID testings every other week, and the school paid for them. And I think it cost like $800,000 for just one semester of randomized testing, because it wasn't just for students, it was for faculty, staff, like they put a whole sheet, like an Excel sheet of just all these names of everyone, and then at random you'd get chosen to go get your testing done. And then if like one of you got a positive test, your whole like townhouse would have to quarantine. Because I only know because the people next door to us, they were like our best guy friends at the on campus, and they all had to quarantine. Mm-hmm. And so they were just sitting there, and then they realized it was a false positive, but they still had to finish the 14 days, so they were just stuck in the townhouse for 14 days doing classes on Zoom.
Now, were you guys in class, or were all your classes on Zoom?
So it was more of a hybrid model. It mostly depended on the professor. So let's say the professor was an older gentleman and he did not feel comfortable coming to class with all of these young kids. So he could decide, I want to do the Zoom model. The kids would just stay in their room. They do it on Zoom, whatever. Personally, me, since I'm a comm major, it's a lot of like in-person, hands-on.
Right. That was something I really struggled. I had one class this semester, and it didn't take very long to figure out that she completely altered the class. Like, we didn't do anything based on what the class was because we were virtual. And it sucked.
Virtual classing is very hard.
It is very hard, especially in the major that we're in. You need a lot of physical class. And the class I took was one of the very last classes you take in your senior semester, and it's supposed to help prepare you for getting a job in the real world. Mm-hmm. So there's, I couldn't even tell you what we were supposed to do. I could tell you what we did do. There was a lot of resume building, and there was a guy from the Career Center that came in almost every week, talked about something about a resume, how to do an interview, which all very helpful information. But it was every week. It was probably 15 minutes, and class is supposed to be 3 hours long, which she didn't even go 3 hours sometimes. Sometimes there were only 2. Sometimes there was
and it's frustrating because you're paying for that class.
Right. And it's like, I'm not putting the professor nor the class down. It is what it is. It was a situation. I personally was a little disappointed how the class went.
Because you wanted to take more out of it as your last class before you graduate. Like, I need this one last bit of advice and information. It's hard, and hybrid classes are not easy to just learn on Zoom. Like, if the professor isn't taking it seriously, 100% the students are not even, like, paying attention.
I know a girl that works in my store. She had a math class this semester, and she failed it because math is, again, one of those classes you need to be there. I don't know. I'm not very good at math. I probably would have failed it, too. I don't know her strength in math, but maybe it wasn't that good. Also, it probably didn't help that she worked a whole lot. So
yeah.
But there are classes where professors I think need to be a little more understanding that if someone's failing or struggling, it's not because they're just bad at it. It's because situation.
It's a different way of learning now. Like, we have to adjust to that.
We
learning
had to go
style.
from the option you had an option to do online versus physical, where you were handed online. You didn't have an option. You could either not take it online or not take it.
Yeah, you're right.
So hopefully things get a little better coming 21. It was great having you on, Dina.
Thank you so much for having me.
So glad that you're back.
We
missed you. Only for a couple weeks, but you know what?
We'll make the most of it.
Yep, we'll take it. This has been Small Talk, guys. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. Maybe New Year's stuff, because next week is New Year's. Have a good week. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. If you don't celebrate Christmas, I'm sorry.
Happy
I'm a little
holidays.
biased. I love Christmas. Enjoy your holidays, your traditions. Hopefully you can make the most out of a normal tradition or not. Let me know. I'll see you guys next week. Here at Small Talk, we inspire to be different. We have guests from all sorts of topics, like bakeries, DJs, archery, advocacy on special topics, and just random thoughts. We also produce and edit videos and commercials. No amount of footage is too big or small. That is our motto. We can do fun experimental videos or documentaries on serious and fun topics. We are a one-stop shop, as I like to call it. Call today at 866-224-5422 or email me at smalltalktv2020@gmail.com.